It looks like, I hope everybody can hear me. I am jumping on this live very quickly. I am randomly popping up. I think if I can do these Q&As more often, hopefully I can get a lot more stuff done or a lot of the questions answered and all that stuff. So, flew in from Atlanta, worked out. Obviously, that's why I look like this. We're getting ourselves together. Worked out, and I, as one of my stories on Instagram talked about, like the DMs. I have a lot of DMs, but I want to see if I can start answering little by little because a lot of the DMs get very repetitive. So you click on them, a lot of them are similar to "What's your story? Want to connect?" or it's "What did you do to get here?" et cetera, et cetera. However, if I can just start taking those DMs and start answering them on YouTube, so I'm not clogging up the Instagram, we could do it that way. So, this question is, hopefully we make this short. This question came from my YouTube, but I've seen it actually a lot in my Instagram. And it comes from, let me see if I can click on it. It's coming from, last name is Dakayla, Dasmine or Dasmin. So sorry if I'm saying her name incorrectly, but I want to read the comment slash the question. A lot of people have this question, so it's a really good question to talk about. Hi, I started school this August. My goal is to be a sports physical therapist. I was going to major in health science. Do you think that is a good undergrad major if I'm looking into sports therapy, or would you prefer athletic training to be the best route? So, thank you for the question. I am going to go through with this. It's Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day to everybody. I know I just started off the video that way, um, but I want to make sure I can answer this question, and hopefully I could put it in the comments or something so some people can refer to. So, to answer that question to Dakayla, um, and it sounds like this person's going into undergrad. So, undergrad, you do not have to major, and hear me out. You do not have to major specifically in health science, athletic training, sports medicine, let's see, kinesiology, exercise sport science, any of those things. I say that because I went into PT school and didn't even know. I went to my cohort in physical therapy school. They had arts history, they had business, they had hospitality, um, just like, oh, geology. I think we had somebody with geology. So I say that, to answer this question, I say that because I don't want people to get focused on like your major in undergrad has to have physical therapy, exercise physiology, kinesiology, any of those things. Why? Because I've seen it with my very own eyes. I didn't really have parents or anyone to really talk to know what to do to major in undergrad. I changed my major, like so many times, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I knew what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do, when I found out, I didn't realize I didn't have to choose the major I did. So, long story short, I did a major in athletic training, but athletic training at that time could be a bachelor's degree. Now it is a master's. So it's not something that you have to go to school, undergrad, and say pre-athletic training in order to get some of the, in order to like have the degree, because the degree for undergraduate will not equate to an athletic training degree. Even if you do some of the hours and stuff, it would be great to put on your resume, but you could be that same person that you, major in whatever you're interested in and whatever you want to do, and then you volunteer, let's see, you go to, like, what I had to do anyway. It's the same thing you have to do for PT school. You shadow people. So, God forbid, if you got hurt, you can shadow that physical therapist when you're done with therapy. Or you can, what I used to do is just go up to hospitals and ask, what is the process to shadow? Get into the skilled nursing facility, or think of like long term rehab, any of those things, outpatient clinic, a PT clinic. It does not have to be sports related. I didn't do anything sports related at first because no one would accept me. So just let people know, a lot of emails that I sent and just went on deaf ears. So, I know a lot of people, whether students or whomever listening, they're probably in similar situation where they're trying to email people, trying to hit up at that time, Atlanta Hawks or the Emory, because I was going to Emory. So you're thinking like, oh, I have a connection by talking to Emory doctors to shadow them. No, they didn't even respond to me. I was just another person that just emailed them, and it just went by the wayside. So undergrad, like I was saying before, those who just hopped on with undergrad, you can major in anything you want. The caveat is the prerequisites that are needed for your next degree, because undergrad has to be done regardless, but you can't operate from an undergraduate degree in any realm for the sports medicine side unless you're graduating with your undergrad. Hopefully it's focused in, then if it's strength and conditioning, if that's what you want to do. I'm talking on the medical side. I'm not necessarily talking on the strength and conditioning side, meaning like you want to do performance science, strength conditioning. And even that's also, we're finding that's a master's degree. Or once you get your undergrad, you sit for your CSCS or your strength and conditioning specialty. And you can only do that once you finish undergrad. That's something that I would say to just add on that test. Unless you're very passionate to do that alone, then do school specific in that. And a lot of undergraduate programs are not specific enough for that, but you can add exercise science, kinesiology, biomechanics, like some of those things if you want to do that necessarily. But say if you want to do sports physical therapy, like those are the terms I think referring to this question: sports physical therapy, athletic training, et cetera, et cetera. In undergrad, I will do whatever my advisor allows me to do to get my prereqs done. So if I have to look at the PT school, so say if I want to do the PT school first, or like, oh, I want to do athletic training first, there are programs. There's been some students I've been talking with and giving me great insight. So there are programs that are now online or hybrid. So the first year is online, and then the next year is like what do you call that? Clinicals, labs, stuff like that. So you can finish your degree. That's what physical therapy, and I've even seen that with athletic training. So look out for those. Actually, I could probably get a couple names to pull out there for those who are listening. I know I talked to this person recently. So let me see if I can find. Okay. One program, it is called, and it's an athletic training program called Hardin Simmons. So shout out to Shakir. Thank you so much for, I know there's a lot of people who have sent me stuff, but shout out to Shakir for sending me this athletic training program. It's a hybrid program. So for those who want to work, still make money, you can do that as well, meaning it would be hybrid, meaning online and some in-person stuff. And it's a 2-year program. So athletic training, or as I was saying before, is a master's program. And I think that will better prepare people for the sports medicine or the professional sports college, any of those things, with adding athletic training. But that's, again, after your undergraduate degree. So obviously looking into that program, there's another program. And I think, say if you want to do PT program, and for PT, it's a hybrid program as well. I heard about this when I was either finishing up PT school or I was working in the hospital, and found out about Baylor University. They have a hybrid program as well. So another thing like you guys can do where it's like you can have the internship. So I know some people, they have an internship. While they're in the internship, they're gaining experience, but then they're also doing their physical therapy or athletic training program. And in that sense, they can gain experience and also get their degree. And because the experience with the internship is going to better prepare you for a job or wherever, however you land. Another program that I want to put out here, let's see here. Another person told me a transitional DPT program. So that's only for people who maybe have a bachelor's, or you have other things, or you came from another country, you came from Canada, you came from anywhere else, and you need to do a transitional program in order to get your PT degree. Another one's called the College of St. Scholastica. It almost seems like you're going at your own pace. So you can go as short as 1 year, but you're gonna be busting your butt. So if you're working or you're doing an internship, you may not do exactly 1 year. But some of the things that you can look up, those programs, dual programs, meaning they have athletic training and physical therapy. That, as far as I know, they're in person. I talked about this before on my channel. Idaho State University. Idaho State University, and then Shenandoah. Be aware that Shenandoah in Virginia, that is a private institution, so that's not cheap. So I just want to make sure I put that out there. So if you want to finish in like 4 years to do everything, that's your master's in athletic training, your doctorate in physical therapy, all that in one swoop. um looking into the programs, and now like you can just Google hybrid programs or online programs for physical therapy athletic training. I would advise people to do both, but I feel like if you don't want to do both, then just choose which one you want to do. Say if you have a doctorate in physical therapy, it obviously helps because it's a clinical doctorate versus a master's in athletic training. I wouldn't advise anyone to get a doctorate in athletic training. As far as I've seen, it has not equate to a job, or hasn't opened the door for them as a doctorate level. It helped them in academia. It helps them in that sense as being a professor, and being a professor, helping with like the tier system for payment for salary and stuff like that. Say if you're teaching, but in like, oh, you're gonna be an athletic trainer in the NBA or NHL, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you can look up some of these people on LinkedIn, I already told you I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. You will barely see those people have a doctorate in athletic training. So be aware if you are in programs and advisors or teachers are telling you get your doctorate in athletic training, that's not something you need to do. If that's something after you did, if you were to do athletic training, you're like, I want to do something more, do physical therapy school, or find a program that you don't have to do 3 years like I did, do 3 years of PT school. Like it's something that allows you like a hybrid program. Those are just a couple I listed that allow you, once you finish your athletic training school, you can just do, some of the other classes that you need to get done in order to graduate and fulfill what we call the CAPTE, CAPTE. So that's of just the governing body for physical therapy programs, and seeing if you can do it that way, whether you're doing your clinicals, and hopefully it could be with an NBA team if that's what you want to be, or MLB, et cetera, et cetera. There are options, but and once you get into school, it makes it a little bit easier. And then also working with a clinical coordinator on ensuring that the school is not being high maintenance or a diva, just to put it frank. Because at the end of the day, you're there to gain experience. Obviously, you have schoolwork to do. So, if you're in the internship, you're in your clinical, and you need to step away for class, online class, that your internship, your team, like an NBA team, for example, they will not like give you a big deal about that. But it's more of like some schools, they may require like a plethora of things. I won't say any names of schools from experience, but I'll just say you want to make it easy to let that flow into like, oh, it's an internship slash clinical. So internship with the team, but then clinical to allow you to fulfill your school duties. So then when you're done with school or done with that clinical, once the team slash the clinical coordinator work it out however they need to do, it's all case by case basis. At least then, once you're done with school, all you have to do is worry about boards. And if that team really liked you, they can either hire you on at that team, or tell you about other opportunities somewhere else in the league, or as you tell them like what your desires are. So I've seen that in hand. I've seen that in person. I've seen that in person like plenty of times. But I as a caveat, I will say, because I know some people want to ask about like internship stuff like that. I'm no longer over the internship process, so I can't be that person to say, "Oh yeah, let's have you come next year," et cetera, et cetera. So the process is completely different. I post as soon as I get the information. We've already selected our guys, so it's not something I'm here to talk about. The internship process for us, I'll just say like whenever it becomes available again, I definitely reach out. I'll definitely post it. So I'll post on my Instagram, and I try to post on my Twitter. So my Instagram, all these things are like listed in the description box, but those are things like be on the lookout for. Also jobs, or if there is another internship that pops up, I post that as well. But a lot of times I post them in my story, so just be on the lookout for those things. So as a recap, so we already talked about like undergrad, measure whatever you want to measure in, as long as it lets you do your prereqs. Going to the school website and finding out what those prereqs are. Some of them, they're like, oh, chemistry, oh, certain things. So if your advisor's tripping, because that's another thing, if your advisor's tripping about like, oh, we don't have enough room at the university for you to do this, this is what I did. I went to a community college. So I went to the University of Georgia for undergrad. That's a big institution. we still had waiting lists for anatomy, physiology, stuff that I wanted to do, but they were like, I had to wait a whole year just to do. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. So I enlisted in a community college that I knew that the hours or the class hours would transfer to my degree and I wouldn't lose anything. So be mindful of that, that the credit transfer. So if you're in a certain school system, like the Georgia school system, I'm only just speaking from Georgia, but it's in every state, ensuring that it transfers over, you're not losing anything. So I did all my anatomy physiologies at community college. I did my physics, not my first physics. So I got in at my university, but then my second physics, because that school that I was looking into for physical therapy was requiring it. I did my second physics at community college. I'm trying to think of other stuff I did. I did a whole bunch of other whatever what was required. And my school and advisor they were tripping. I went right to a community college. So do not sleep on community college. It is cheap. You can, if you feel like you can handle it during your semester while you're at the university, go for it. But for me, I just went in the summer. I got so much done and I graduated on time and I ended up double majoring just because it was just kind of like, why not? And I just got stuff done. But again, at that time, athletic training was an undergraduate degree. So it was just more so when I went to physical therapy school, I realized, like, as I said before, art history, hospitality, business, everybody was majoring in all these different things. And when they graduate their PT degree, they're able to be very specific in where they wanted to go. So like for me, obviously I did sports medicine, but say if this person does business or hospitality, they were able to partner. I won't tell this person's business, but they were able to partner with the university and marry hospitality and physical therapy. So they're already like a gem. And then someone else who did business, they were able to marry business with physical therapy. And like, I think if people on this call, if you're in physical therapy school, you barely were taught anything with business or how to run a clinic, what to do, et cetera, et cetera. My athletic training program, they talked about clinics and money, but it was just a project, which was good. But I think in physical therapy school, hopefully, I think they're improving on that. They started to add like a MBA program attached to it, which was just an extra year. But again, I'm only speaking for my university. But if I just going to PT school and understanding like people are majoring whatever they wanted to and they just did prereqs, that's the smartest thing. Like I would encourage people to do that. Whatever you want, whatever your heart's desires, that allows you to get those prereqs done for the school that you're looking to go into. Most PT schools or athletic training schools will require you to do observation hours. And that's what I was saying, like still doing your school, doing all that stuff, but then you're just trying to shadow people. And what I'll speak from experience, I think I'm getting slightly off topic, but I think it's very useful for observation hours that are required. I did not get to I did not like observe anyone like in the professional level. Again, no one answered my emails. I hit them on LinkedIn and answer me. So I really want to encourage people. You don't have to observe or volunteer at a professional level to work in the professional level. So I was doing a lot in the high school setting because that's all I had access to. Or like even AAU, if I knew someone that was medical and they're recovering, that's another example. As you can see, that's like could be 6-year-olds, 7 teenagers. Like, do not sleep on your community. So take advantage of your community, wherever that is. Even the hospital setting, observing that a lot of times they want you to take a TB shot or test for it. That's simple. That's something that your insurance most likely will cover. Take advantage of it. So like hospital systems and then like PT clinics that are outpatient. So that could be anything. I know there's so many different ones. Like there's Select Rehab. There is Benchmark. Excuse me, Benchmark, Sports Rehab if you're in like Georgia, and I think it's even outside of Georgia. But anything you could think of, just ask the shadow. Those hours count, especially if you're in certain places that they have a physical therapist or athletic trainer. So like Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Emory. Trying to think of like there's places in Texas like Houston Methodist, stuff like that have staff members, either they're a PTATC or an ATC, and you can shadow them. And that's how you get your athletic training hours as well. If you wanted to get to that higher level, I mean, I didn't do that. So I'm just really putting out there. You can work with whatever you got. But at the end of the day, do not handcuff yourself to say you have to major in certain things or listen to advisors. I almost did that. Listen to advisors to say, oh, you can only major in this, and that will help you with your next path or after undergrad. No, because again, athletic training is no longer an undergraduate degree. Physical therapy has never been, or any time now, undergraduate degree. It's now a doctor, a clinical doctorate since what, 2001. So at the end of the day, just like do your observation, and then major in whatever you want to major in. Look at the schools you're interested in, what works for your finances. Do prereqs at a community college that will transfer your credit. And then I think we're gonna get to a next video because there's more questions that talks about like what certifications should I work on? What are some opportunities to set me apart? What are some things while I'm in school that will help me be very competitive? So those things, be on the lookout for that video, because I don't want this to get too long because I just want to make it easier for other people to like look at, hit up the hit up the video. There you go. And see um just simple answers to some of these questions because they're recurrent questions. And I'm trying to get to all these DMs on my Instagram and hopefully just answer on YouTube so you can just refer to that question and refer to that video. So thank you guys, for those who are staying on. Thank you for the likes, all the good stuff, and share this video because they're going to be way more to come because I'm going to make them not short and sweet, get it to the point, and just answer these DMs. So thank you again. Thank you for the question, Dakayla or Dasmine Dakayla. And then we're going to go ahead and get more videos in. So thank you guys and have a great Memorial Day. I was about to say Labor Day. Have a great Memorial Day weekend and have a great week. I'll catch you guys.